But every time I would go back, it would be something different. So when I went back on this time, there was like this room was filled with people. I think as far as I could see, it was just filled with people, but they were organized in a way where the people who were closest to me, which were my husband and my 5 children, they were like super bright lights. They were super bright lights. I could see their form, but it wasn't like their physical features. It's just like their form, like their like light bodies, I guess. But I could tell who each light was, right? And so they were in front of me and they were the closest. And then it was like rows behind them, like rows all the way to the back and all the way out to the sides were just rows of people. And I knew that these were people that I had met over my entire lifetime. First, I had the thought of like, wow, that's a lot of people. I never would think that like all of these people would be here because some of these interactions were what I would call insignificant, but they were there. And they were organized in the way of the people who had the brightest lights were closest to the front, and then the dimmest lights, went further back, right? And so I remember like really taking note of the light, that was in front of me, which was my husband and my 5 children. And it's like the more I looked into their light, is the more I realized that the light that they were was actually love. And I realized like the more I looked into like, wow, this light is love. It's them, but it's love. I always thought love was, an emotion. But I'm like, no, this is what everything is made of. Because whether the people there had bright lights or dim lights, everybody was made of light. So it was all like the same substance, and that substance was light, but it was love. And so I just was getting this whole understanding of what love is, and that love is not an emotion, but it's actually like what everything is made of. Like nothing is created that's not created from love. And so in that time too, I remember realizing that this thing that I was experiencing, this light, this love, this substance, this essence, I had felt it before too. I remember feeling it when I would give messages to some of my clients. Sometimes in our sessions, a loved one who had passed away would come and give a message. And I remember that this is the same thing that I feel. I never thought at the time when I was, giving messages that this was love that I was feeling, but I could feel it so clearly when I was on the other side that this is the same thing. So I had a knowing that if I could increase the love that I have right now with my children and my husband, when I die, I could use that channel to communicate with them, since now I knew for a fact that love never ends, right? So I had this desire, but I was now on this other side, and I was very well aware that, I wasn't in my body and I was dying, and I just wanted to go back, into my body. I wanted a chance to be able to love properly. And so while I was in this place, I also was able to realize the difference between like why the light of my husband and children were so bright compared to the light of like my parents and other people who I loved that were there, but their light was more dim than the light of my husband and my children. And I knew that it was because I was giving more of myself, more of my attention, more of my presence to my husband and my children. So that caused their light to be brighter. And I wanted a chance to come back to this realm so that I could give them more of my presence, more of my attention. It was like, now I know how to love. Now I know how to do it. I can do it, and I could make our love just last forever. And so I remember feeling like I was being pulled back, like they were in front of me, but then I started going back away from them, away from the whole crowd. I was being pulled back. And there's no time or space in this place, but I was perceiving that I was being pulled back like 8 years, 8 years distance. And I could tell that at the 8-year mark, they wouldn't be able to feel that essence anymore. I was seeing that the light was getting dim, and I knew that they would remember me. I knew that they would remember me, but they wouldn't be able to feel me the way that they could feel me now. And that is the only time in this entire experience where I felt extremely, I don't know if the word is fearful, but it was like a mixture of like extreme fear and heartbreak all at the same time. Just the thought of like my family not being able to feel me and me not being able to reach them, like that whole thing. And so I really wanted to come back to earth, and I ended up coming into my body again. And my husband was still talking to the paramedics, and I didn't know that someone had already been like dispatched and all of that. I just said to him, like, this is crazy. Like, I cannot hold on. Like, I'm thinking I should come back into my body and there should be like paramedics there. Instead, he's still on the phone and I have like zero strength to hold on.